Hi and welcome to Wood and Water. My name's Alea and this is my channel all about sustainable living. Now, today we're going to be talking about something different. About 2 years ago now, wow, 2 years ago, that went by fast. I had a manic episode, the biggest of my life, and it all revolved around my eco-anxiety. I remember in the lead up to the true mania, watching the cars go by on the streets and trying to imagine how many there were in the world if there were so many gas guzzlers just in my countryside town. I remember one day going into a craft store at a mall and just taking pictures of all the plastic crap. And the shopkeeper asked me what I was doing, and I said, documenting all this plastic that's killing us. Then I went into a church and cried and got on Instagram talking about, this is a bad place. If you know The Good Place, and this is a reference. That was the height of my anxiety and fear. I then pushed through that, thanks in part to the mellowing effects of marijuana, I believe. And this is what happened next. My mania mixed with some weed and something serotonin, chemistry, lingo, I don't really know. That happened, and I imagined up this story that there was a way of gamifying climate action. It went from me voicing this on Instagram as a suggestion, a thought, to me actually living a simulated version of this. I felt like I was in the middle of the game. I realized this dream world. It was situated in Jamaica, where I'm from. It involved being high and mellow in order to combat the jitters of eco-anxiety. I must emphasize that I had just recently started smoking weed and was a big convert, so I thought smoking was a fun component to add. In any case, the aim was to have the lowest carbon footprint possible. It was called the Utopia Games. There were teams and anyone could participate. Jamaica was an ideal spot for the game because it felt like a vacation. It has an active hospitality industry, could use the added income, has a tradition of Olympiad excellence, has the Rasta culture which values the natural way of life, and it's where I'm from. I was the inventor of the game after all. Although in my dreamlike state, I recall having a disagreement with the imagined version of an acquaintance who knows about these things, who said it should take place in Rio because they have already had an Olympic-sized game. In the game, you are placed in a households of varying levels of income, and that was all I had. Teams, varying household, but there was a surprisingly fleshed out idea that admittedly turned into a nightmare when my manic episodes started to get scary. The idea that the game would take place in one of 3 locations announced on social media. Then the teams would show up for a party in one of the locations, while the other 2 would be an information event about environmentalism or an activism campaign, pop-up events. And basically, you announce all 3, and people just have to show up to one. They pick one, and either they're gonna show up to a party, or they show up to a petition event, or they show up to a cleanup, beach cleanup, or they show up to, something that is not a party. But it's like you get one of 3 choices. I also dreamt up nonsense, mind you, where somehow this activity was powering the island, but I think it's more of a metaphor my mind was trying to convey and didn't have the words or reference for, because such an event would supercharge the island and give it a little kickstart. In any case, those were the bits and pieces I had coming out of my manic episode. I won't tell you about the scarier parts. Over the months since, I've embellished a little. These teams coming from all over the world are placed in homes of varying income brackets, and their job is to live as sustainably as they can while also living comfortably. They have to be resourceful, inventive. They are filmed in competition with one another. Their carbon footprint is calculated. I don't think if this were a real thing it would necessarily need to be in Jamaica. It can be done remotely around the world. And because I want to see the wonders of permaculture at work, I would want it to take place over a series of months like a Big Brother show, but for the environment. Obviously, no weed need be involved. That was Manic, who thought everything needed that green to make it sparkle. I don't know why I'm verbalizing this manic dream, but it fascinated me for a long time and made me feel like there was a way to make climate action fun. You can get a lot of hilarious content. For example, if a team, realizing that they didn't account for how high their use of electricity was to cool down the place in hot Jamaica, now decided that they would go down to the river for showers instead in order to regain some points. Or perhaps a team of contestants from the global south who are just easing through like it's a cakewalk because they're so accustomed to limiting their consumption and living within their means. I think it's more fun to do it in one place, especially one so small like Jamaica, where you can get from place to place easily and coordinate. I also think the pop-up events are such a fun idea, but that was a pre-COVID dream. Anyway, that was part of what I experienced while manic. Since I have been on medication, which I supposedly will need for the rest of my life, and I feel very in control of myself day by day, but that is because I have support and stability and privilege in my life. I am currently in the process of creating a music album about this idea as well, but it's more in a fiction world. It's got this ongoing idea that's built from my previous album about this mystical figure called the Seeker, and I explore that more in this upcoming album called Utopia, the Lucid Dream. And so it's kind of about like a metaphor for climate change and how to describe this thing that we're in and describe the way out, you know? So yeah, I don't know, I feel like I'm not gonna tell people to go and have a manic episode, but I feel like I can't complain about my life because it is what it is. This thing runs in my family and I got it, and I'm still living my life, and I'm gonna maximize everything that happens in my life. So this experience that I had, I'm gonna take what I can out of it, which is this, inspiration to think differently about this thing that once caused me such anguish. So I don't know if this sparks an idea with you. I would love to discuss further the idea of gamifying climate action in some way, shape, or form. It's really something that speaks to me. I think we could do it. I think we could make it fun to fight for the planet. Yeah, and don't steal my ideas. These are my ideas, mine. So I don't know if they're good ones, but they're mine. And yeah, I'll see you next time. I hope this wasn't too much for you guys to handle. This is me. This is Alea. Alea happens to have a mental illness or whatever you call it. That's just me. Yeah.